Frank Vernuccio is with us right now. He's the editor-in-chief of the New York Analysis of Policy and Government, USGovPolicy.com. GovPolicy.com is the website. And Frank, welcome to the program.
Hey, it's great to be with you this afternoon.
Thank you. I see from this press release, or I guess it's a press release, where you say that a generation of American students are being indoctrinated rather than educated. You point out the failings. 35% of fourth graders know the purpose of the Declaration of Independence, for example. And, you know, the lack of proficiency in history. I would add to that civics, but I'm guessing you would agree with me on that. First of all, you want to riff on that a little bit?
Well, according to a number of studies that come out from a whole bunch of different sources, everything from the United States Department of Education down to the National Association of Scholars and a number of state-by-state studies, all indicate that Americans, straight from grammar school right through postgraduate, don't really have any kind of background or training in American history or civics. In fact, the U.S. Education Department has been saying that about 70% of Americans couldn't pass a basic test in American history or civics.
In fact, most Americans can't pass the test that you have to pass to become a U.S. citizen.
That's exactly right. Some of the most basic elements in our country. And, of course, the concern of all that is that, you know, going back to Thomas Jefferson, when he talked about the necessity of a good public education, said that we need a public education to have an informed citizenry to make a stable and valid democracy.
Yep.
Now, it looks as though we're losing that at this point in time.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I'm continually astounded by these things, and I'm also, I'm in the boomer generation, and it amazes me when I sit around with millennials, kids younger than my own children, people in their 20s, and talk about things like the Bill of Rights, et cetera. We used to have to memorize in fourth grade. We had to memorize the preamble to the Constitution, the Gettysburg Address. We had to read the Constitution, and we had to know what each one of the first 10 amendments to the Constitution said and stood for. We didn't have to memorize them word for word. But that was fourth grade. Fourth grade is like, what, 10 years old? And I'm talking to high school graduates, college graduates now, who could not do that. And what has...
You're absolutely right.
This seems to have happened in large part since the 1980s, since Reagan put Bill Bennett in charge of the Education Department. Bill Bennett, who said, let's do away with the Education Department. And there has been this whole shift. Bill Clinton pushed this stuff. Ted Kennedy pushed it towards standardized testing and education, where it's like, teach to the test and all this stuff. And it just seems to me like our education system, on a totally bipartisan basis, has gone down the tubes. It's been the victim of politics. Your thoughts on that?
Well, again, it's not only the regular schools. Let's go to the most elite academy in the United States, Harvard University. Now, according to an ISI study, an intercollegiate study, Harvard seniors scored a 69.5% on a basic U.S. history and civics test.
Right.
These are the cream of the crop, and this is the best they could come up with.
Right, and this is the stuff, and that's probably because when they went to Harvard, they studied whatever their specialized area of study was. College, pre-'80s, most colleges, at least in the first year, you had to take all these basic courses, which include things like history, and pretty much that's not so much the case anymore. And plus, people would have learned that stuff in high school. So here's where it gets interesting, though. I noticed in your article, or your press release, or your commentary on this, I guess, you said it's not that what isn't being taught that's troublesome. It's also what is being given a place in standard instruction, A People's History of the United States. So this is Howard Zinn's history book, kind of history of the United States, which you describe as a Marxist view of the United States, was used as a text in Washington, D.C. schools. Have you read Howard Zinn's book?
Yeah, I have, cover to cover, as a matter of fact. And look, there's a lot of historical fact in Howard Zinn's book that can't be denied. On the other hand, a lot of it is pure opinion. And it's part of a collection of works that are used regionally throughout the United States, where we're, instead of teaching the basic facts first, and then at a different level getting into discussions where Howard Zinn's book might be appropriate, we're using this in many cases as a basic text. Let's go, for example, to Arizona. In Arizona, there is a book by, I'm trying to think of the name, Mr. Richard Acuna, I believe it is, which talks about the validity of establishing a Chicano nation in the southwest of the United States. And, again, if we're using this as a valid discussion at a college level, that's fine. But at a lower level of high school or grammar school, I think that we're crowding out the basics.
So back to Howard Zinn. I'm not familiar with Rodolfo.
One and one.
Right. I'm not familiar with Rodolfo Acuna, so I can't debate him with you or discuss him with you. But Howard Zinn, for example, in the People's History of America of the United States, I mean, it starts out with the genocide of the Indians, the Native American people. When I studied American history, I was not told that Thomas Jefferson ordered the slaughter of Indians, or that George Washington, not so much, but I guess, it really went on steroids during the Jefferson administration, and particularly with the Louisiana Purchase. And I got the sanitized version, right? I got the cowboys and Indians and all that. And I think all Americans did, by and large, outside perhaps of Indian reservations. Why not teach the fact that this nation was birthed in genocide and slavery? What's wrong with that?
Well, I don't think any facts should be hidden. I think that the facts are facts, and you can't teach history without being honest and being realistic about it. I don't disagree with you with that at all. But if that's all that they're getting, if all that these students are getting is sort of an anti-American history, which we
well, there's nothing anti about that. It's real. I mean, I'm all in favor of teaching the nobility of the idea of self-governance too, although it was only white men. But still, there was some really, really good Enlightenment thought that came, that created this country. That should be taught too, should it not?
Oh, again, I have no objection to any fact being taught. It should all be taught. But what we're seeing as a whole is no facts being taught at all.
Yeah.
For example, when the National Scholar Institute, in a study taken in California, said that the overwhelming majority of the people they polled can't name the three branches of government.
Yeah, this is a disaster. So we have about 30 seconds. What's your solution to this?
Well, number one, I think we have to get back to a basic concept of what needs to be taught in schools, and you hit on it earlier, where we don't have the core courses, we don't have the basic background in key areas.
Yeah. History and civics in particular.
As am I. Yeah. And we remember taking courses called history and civics.
Right.
Now it's kind of wrapped up into something called social studies, where the actual teaching of factual history is sort of in the background and very lightly glanced over.
Yeah. And the stuff that is there is just the stuff that's like, okay, here's 16 dates you need to memorize: 1492, 1776. We may be looking at this from very, very different political perspectives, Frank, but I think that we are in broad agreement. Frank Vernuccio, the editor-in-chief of the New York Policy Analysis of Policy and Government, USAGovpolicy.com. Thanks, Frank.